Hello, beloveds. Happy Sunday. I am your friend, your host today, your cosmic family, your soul sister, whatever you would like to call me. I am Brooke Grove. I am a near-death experiencer, a conscious channel, a healer, a teacher, and someone that's just so excited to share space with you. So if you're here live, please introduce yourself in the chat. If you're a subscriber, I have set it to subscribers only for our safety, just so that we're all on the same frequency when we engage and I can create a bit of a container. So this was one of those things. I don't know. I'm not the kind of person that says the full moon made me do it, but I was definitely feeling the full moon energy yesterday. Hi, welcome, William. Yay. Hi, Serenity. Lovely to see you from Canada. So, yes, I was feeling the full moon like majorly yesterday. I have a lot of placements in Scorpio. I'm also a Taurus sun. My birthday's in a few weeks. And I recently returned to this channel and wasn't able to engage with a lot of the people because weekends I typically take some time off to recover from all the work and being a parent. And I'm a single parent in addition to that. But once I received everyone's responses yesterday, I was like, oh, well, I can do this. I can just show up as I am and just have a conversation and hold space on the weekends. So this is my way of doing that, just being physically with you in the field. I'm in Southern California, so it's the start of a new day for me here. And I love that you guys are already from different spots. We've got Dallas here, we've got Canada, we've got those that are just watching that are non-subscribers as well. So thank you guys for starting your day with me. It's just so lovely to step into the frequency of those that are change makers. So if we can co-create an intimate, cozy little way of being, I'm all here for it. And William and Serenity, as you guys are here, if there's anything you would like to hold space for today, we've got Dan here as well. Hi, Robin. Robin's joining us from Maryland. Dan's also in that area in DC. So thank you guys for being here. Love so much that I came up with this idea yesterday afternoon and you guys are showing up. So thank you. Like that means so much to me. I am at my core, eternal child of the divine. I find that the holiest and the most restorative way to heal is to play. And for many of us, we perhaps didn't always get that opportunity as children. I know a lot of you that I know that are here have had similarly complex histories. And when we have those histories, sometimes we get disconnected from that divine spark. I have spent decades resurrecting mine, and thus it's my treat and my pleasure and my delight to share that spark, because if just a little bit of my flame can rekindle yours or vice versa at different times, then we are doing the highest work. Because as I always say to everyone, when you're living and serving your highest and best, you're doing it for us all. Because you, in your radiance, is medicine. You lit up from within has a curative effect on the collective. So it really excites me that so many of my favorite way showers got up today, or midday for you guys on the East Coast, to join me. I have no agenda with these mornings. I'm simply going to show up and be my cosmic self and play with you guys a bit. I don't know what the field will have to offer each and every Sunday. It will be different. I have named this Shakti Sundays because I have been really someone devoted to the path of really reclaiming and loving and witnessing and embodying my divine feminine reclamation. But I want to speak to that for a minute insofar as I also got lost there. And I'm witnessing a lot of people do that. I think for a lot of the women that were really, suffered a lot and disconnected from their higher feminine nature because of the patriarchal and particularly the weaponized patriarchal aspects of our society, there can be an overemphasis on going strictly into the divine feminine. So my work as of late has really been on sacred union, which is really the sacred marriage of the divine masculine and the divine feminine within. That said, I have enough Shakti to light up a lot of people. So today is Shakti Sundays because it's going to be informal. I mean, I wasn't joking when I said I would show up in pajamas. I also have my trusty cup of tea. I am not a coffee drinker. If you can feel my field, you can imagine why. Caffeine is not necessarily for me. But those of you that are here live with me, if there's anything, and I mean anything, I am totally open that you would like to get into. Thank you, William. I love the word Shakti, and I love the alliteration of Shakti Sundays. So thank you. I'm glad that resonates with you too. If there's anything you guys would like to deep dive into this morning or hold space for, if you want to put a few words in about how you're feeling or what your vibrational state is in the morning, we're all collectively going through so much. And these sessions will never be therapy nor take the place of therapy, but they are going to be a sacred circle. They're a sacred circle where all of you is welcome. And I mean all. I feel the work of the unconditional mother, the sacred, the true divine feminine is all about unconditionality. It is holding space for the good, the bad, the ugly, the things we dare not even name. The mother can hold those. She can witness those. And it's been my sacred honor and my privilege to witness those within myself, love them unconditionally, free myself from past life, karmic, ancestral, epigenetic, you name it, and very, very real current life trauma as well. So anything you guys want, oh, hey, Ned, good morning. So anything you guys want to share or hold space for, I'm up for. And so, yeah, it's just fun. It's just fun to start my day with you guys. This is so cool. Who knew I could have a tea time pajama party at the last minute and people would come. I absolutely love that. I feel right now that you guys are stepping into such sacred work. I mean, I can't get tired of saying this. I feel like I'm a paradoxical experience to the collective right now, insofar as I step into the field each and every day, especially on days like yesterday where the light was just pouring in at such intensity. And I just am in awe. I'm in awe that we get to do this. We get to do this. We get to be people that are here illuminating the path for a wave after another wave. And then there's going to be another wave of people that are waking up. They are waking up. The lies are dissolving. The paradigms are crumbling right before us, right before our eyes. And people are waking up. And, I've said this and I'm going to keep saying it, but I'm here in the United States. And to me, as a near-death experiencer, for those of you that don't know me, my near-death experience was in 2010. Systemic organ failure of the lungs, liver, and kidneys, and a traumatic brain injury that resulted in a 3.5-day coma. I was given a 1% chance of survival, and I organically, spontaneously came back in as I was given a choice during my NDE. That said, as a near-death experiencer that's done the hard and holy work of integration and knows what it's like to be catapulted back into a body with an illuminated consciousness to a world that has not awakened. In 2010, it was a very different energy. The 2012 wave came soon, but not many people surfed it. And so now Wow. 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 We are in a totally different timeline. And because we are in a quantum universe, we always have co-occurring timelines. There are co-occurring outcomes. I am not one of those intuitive or psychically oriented persons that's going to tell you there's a one size fits all outcome that I can tell you. I can't. I can't. What I can tell you is that I've continuously been told, shown, and vibrated the frequency of a new earth. And I don't mean that in some, sugar-coated new age way. I mean that insofar as there are those of us here that are luminaries. And according to my guides, including Magdalene, Mother Mary, Yeshua, Buddha, all of them that come through for me, we are here to illuminate within. We are here to embody sacred marriage or sacred union within, recalibrating, reorienting, balancing, harmonizing, stabilizing the divine union templates within us that have been purposefully and brutally weaponized and distorted by darker energies. And so we get to do this. Like, we get to be those people. We get to be luminaries. And our light is sacred. There are those that used to simply read the scriptures. There are those that study the scriptures. And then there are those of us that came here to be living scriptures. If you resonate with my energy, dear ones, you're in that team. You're part of the cosmic family. There are so many of us here right now. We have worked lifetimes to get into this moment. I know for me, oh my goodness, when my NDE started going viral in certain scenarios, I didn't want that. I didn't want to be on camera. I didn't want to be known. I was terrified of being seen. And now it's Sunday morning and I'm coming to you live in my pajamas with a whim of notice. We can change. We can step up to the divine assignment. If it's encoded in your divine blueprint to be an illuminary, then dear one, you are going to find so much of that 3D matrix programming, all the things that tell you you are not worthy, that you are not lovable, that you are, bad, that you're broken. All of these things, they dissolve, they naturally dissolve when you start stepping into these higher frequencies, because these higher frequencies, they don't require work, beloveds. These higher frequencies are play. They are play. They are play. I would say my angelic guides are they're like my children in a lot of ways. Not that I have to care for them, but that they just play. They sparkle, they shine, they sing, they dance. They're much like they were in my NDE. They're just luminaries that are having fun. That's the invitation. We get to have fun. No one ever said soul work has to be hard. That's some old dogmatic 3D stuff. That's some religious stuff. That's some toxic stuff. That's the stuff we're shaking off in these Shakti Sundays together. You're going to notice with me, I move a lot. I might be going into some galactic stuff at some points. I'm very deeply connected to my angelics, to my galactic star brothers and sisters, all of whom I have called in to be with us today. So make space for that, please. Also, if you don't know me or you haven't seen my NDE videos, you might notice that the colors and the screen and potentially the audio will fade in and out. That's my frequency. It has an impact on technology. That is part of why I sit a bit back and I do not use a microphone. So just be prepared for all of that. I love that you guys are here. How to stay in my power with the solar chakra. That's a good one. We're going to talk about that. I'll go into that in a moment. Serenity. Co-creators. Absolutely, Ned. Absolutely. My friend Ned is here. He runs one of the biggest NDE groups in the world on Facebook. So many of you are probably in it if you're here. So thank you, Ned, so much for your service and all the light you bring. And so, yes. Okay. So William's saying something about learning to allow painful self-beliefs from the past and complex traumas surface and greet them with unconditional love and gratitude. Mm. Mm-mm-mm. That's such a big one. That's such a big one, William. I will say, oh, Nella's here. Hi, Nella. Nella and I are recording a podcast, but let me go back to what William was saying because it's such a big thing. I've done many podcasts with Nella, but we're doing one this week. I'm very excited. Okay, so William, man, I can tell you, I had such a humbling experience these past 6 months as I've been sitting with so much of my work, both embodied, both lived, both what I'm willing to externalize, what I've had the bandwidth to write my memoirs with. And there was such a healing to what you just spoke about here about learning how to let the painful self-beliefs and past complex traumas surface and greet them with unconditional love and gratitude. I made a vow to myself when I started sharing over 7 years ago publicly that I would not rush to write a book. I would not rush to extend my 15 minutes. I would only do it when I could unconditionally love and witness the full, the messy, and often vile parts of the self-violence I inflicted upon myself in response to a very fragmented childhood. As a trigger warning, highly victimized child that was sexually abused, that went through prolific bouts of addiction, that lived with a propensity to split and to injure the parts of the archetype that had been fragmented at the tender age of 12, and truthfully before the sexual violence began, but it really amplified it. And that went on. I lived in those conditions for the rest of my young childhood until I left and got away. And, you know, you think when you've done decades worth of work that you've met all your demons, or you've told certain aspects of the story that you've witnessed it. And yet, to fulfill that vow, I had to sit with the deepest and the darkest and the most wounded aspects of myself that were still existing when I began consciously channeling the book. And I had to microdose it. I had to give myself a few hours a day. I set up really strict perimeters. I talk about this in the book because I want other people to understand that it can be done and that there's certain things we can do. We can create ritual, we can create safe spaces, we can resource, we can do that internally and externally, as I did. And yet, William, man, there was so much of it. I literally wrote 2 drafts, which I call them the shame volumes. I will never publish them. They are critical to what the book ultimately became. And I spent years in those places. And I'm not exaggerating when I say years. I would get stuck. The shame was so multifaceted. It was so deep. It was so multidimensional. And it took a lot of humility to realize that this identity that I had taken on is solely mine. I had taken it on that, I was broken, that I was bad, that it was just me. I was the outliner. I was the one that was so different. If I was like everyone else, it wouldn't be so hard. Because that's what it was. I came in a starseed. I came in the highly sensitive, intuitive child to a very traditional, conservative family. And though it was not my parents that committed the violence, there was a lot of epigenetic trauma. And they never had, and I love my family, and we've had beautiful discussions about this recently, and they're really doing their best that they can with their wounding to step into their healing trajectories. Yet, they didn't have the resources. They didn't have the guidance. They didn't have someone. I came in, and at like 3, I can remember this. I saw the president that was then sitting in power on the TV screen, and I said to my grandmother in no uncertain terms, "Why is that man lying? Why is everything he says a lie?" And my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, who I speak to about a bunch in the book, she was a pistol. And she just started laughing because she was the only person in my family that was remotely like me. And she was just like, "You're an old soul, honey. You're an old soul," and left it there. I had no clue what an old soul was. But that was commonplace. Like, I was just the kid that was out there talking to the angels and, playing in the grass, talking to the elementals, and felt like an alien on earth. Like, I remember that's like my first experience is, how am I related to these people? I'm nothing like them. I had love for them, but I never felt like safe or whole. And that was before the trauma began. I just did not feel I belonged. And that was, the cost, in a way, of being as cosmic and multidimensional as I am in such a conservative family. And yet that was also a soul contract. I chose that because that environment could teach me the most. Had I incarnated to people that were as cosmic as me, who knows where I would be, but the challenges would have been different. And so I chose it for a reason. But William, sitting with these stories now, particularly the things I forgot, I think when we open ourselves beyond shame, as I began to witness the shame and how much of it lived in the blood, how much of it was my grandmother's, how much of it was coming from lack programming that was probably generations before her, how many of it was the woman's voice that was suppressed long before the violence I know of. And so there was such a cosmic level to it too. There's a multidimensional facet for those of us that know our roots in other planetary systems or other star systems. You have to imagine there's all these traumas that have gone on there too. We're seeing some of that play out on the ground right now. And so all of that's going on. And you've got the really real traumas. I mean, I'm a domestic violence survivor in addition to the sexual violence of my youth. And one of the hardest things in the past 6 years since I've been liberated from that is to look at how my wounding, and I never, ever, ever blame a victim in any way, but my wounding, I can speak for myself. My wounding, because I was so fragmented from my trauma, it greatly compromised my self-worth. And I chose men that just reaffirmed every horrific thing that I believed about myself. And it wasn't until I witnessed that in the grotesque violence I suffered and fled in 2019 that ultimately resurrected my power, because I chose to fight back. I chose to take legal action. I chose to fight for my kids. I chose to get clear and sovereign and illuminated. I chose all those things. So big up to my higher selves. Big up to even the wounded parts that somehow found a way to cultivate that power. That's not easy. People die in those situations. They die, they die, they die. I live with that every single day. I live with that. That's done to my children, what they've had to endure and what they are witnessing in themselves and the byproducts of that. So this is very real for me. This is a very deep passion area of expertise and lived experience you're speaking to, William. And so it's about sitting with the shame. It's about getting extremely uncomfortable. I wish I could tell you there's like an easy, like quick fix to this, but it's not. It's about sitting in the parts that you want to run from, and you look at those monsters and you realize that they were never monsters. They were never monsters. Sometimes they're made up of other people's monsters. Sometimes they're partially born from the debris of our own psychic monsters. Sometimes they're just coming from the field and all the programs and all the nastiness that's run amok in humanity. But each and every wound is hungry. Oh, 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 my beloveds. It is so hungry for your love, for your unconditionality, for your witnessing. Because even the most vile, addicted, for lack of better terms, demonic parts of my psyche, the parts that were the most wounded, the most fragmented, the most weaponized, those parts, those parts are where this power comes from. Those parts, when they're witnessed, when they're loved, when they're held exactly as they are, no agenda, no intention to change or fix. When you do that, and it's not something you can do overnight, Like, that's why I brought up the book. I had to microdose it. I had to do like, okay, I can do 2,000 words of this in a day. Letting the water purge some of these emotions that are coming up with me. So just allowing, just moving a little energy in the field, allowing some of that stuff to be present for whatever capacity my nervous system had. And some days my nervous system could go deep. And other times, like a simple memory that I didn't remember consciously would flood into the system. And I would want to run. 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 All that programming comes on. But also the new programming comes on, and that's the beauty of growth, the beauty of healing, is that you feel the activation and you have enough of a purification point. You've created enough of a threshold within to realize you're being activated, and that maybe the body or the mind is pivoting this way or that way, and you feel it, and there's that constriction. And I began to see constriction as an invitation. And every time I would feel Saturn, which is like the inner disciplinarian that can be too harsh, the internalized parent for those of us that were traumatized or that went through a lot of violence as a child, that part is the part that's telling you you're bad. So something we don't talk about enough is that when a child is traumatized, when a child is violated, it becomes absolutely imperative for survival that we align with the environment. Like, that's not weakness. I told myself that was weakness. I told myself that I created it because I didn't fight back. I couldn't fight back. I was a little tiny person, and this was a big person doing bad things, and they were in the family system, and the family system protected them. When I did raise my voice about it, I was not witnessed. I was not heard. I was invalidated. I was shamed. I was stigmatized. I was called the damaged one. And that narrative stuck. But in addition to that narrative, there's the part of us that actually aligns with it. A child will do absolutely anything to keep the beloved, wholesome image of their caregivers or their caregiving environment, because it's absolutely essential to attachment. It's essential to survival. So what the child will do, even in the case of a horrific father or horrific mother, is they will split. They will start to say, I am bad. I am bad. I am bad. I am bad. Instead of they are bad. They are bad. They are bad, because we are dependent upon them. So the psyche begins to fracture. And once that fracture occurs, the ongoing violence or the ongoing trauma, the ongoing shame, the ongoing judgment, the ongoing pathology, that's only going to seek to fracture it more and more and more. And we live in a highly violent world with weaponized patriarchy, where violence and cruelty, unfortunately, are a shared trauma response. And so for the person that's suffering from this, the absolute first imperative is to get yourself in an environment where there's safety. And then you have to start cultivating that safety within. And beloveds, that is the hardest and the holiest part of the assignment. You have to begin to being a safe person for yourself. And sometimes that just means witnessing when you become the violence. There is something called reactive abuse. We don't speak enough about it. We ought to. I can tell you from domestic violence, it's very, very real. It's something people do not talk about. But if someone's coming at you, and like my ex is almost 6'5", I'm 5'6", imagine someone's coming at you like that over and over and over again, and you've surrendered. And then you finally get to a point where you fight back. And it's not necessarily physical. A lot of times it's emotional or it's energetic or it's whatever, but that's where those demons often come out. And, they're there for survival. Again, they protected me, so no shame on them. But it further fragments the psyche, because you start to think that you are like the violence you're receiving. My dear ones, you are not the violence you are receiving. You are responding to the violence. If we live long enough in any kind of frequency, we can become that frequency. It's the natural law of energy. So forgiveness, forgiveness, forgiveness. I would say for shame, the biggest thing was compassion. I didn't rush to premature forgiveness. I didn't. I showed compassion. I showed deep, 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 deep. And when I say deep, I mean like deep, deep compassion for the wounded children and for each archetype within the wounded children and why they would have a propensity to rebel and to act out and to scream and rage. And there was a lot of righteous rage, and I honored that righteous rage. I gave it a voice. I gave it a channel. I streamed it with automatic writing. And you can do that. This is a lovely exercise, simple exercise. I told myself I wasn't going to get too much into practices, but here I go. With automatic writing, you can call in your higher selves and you can ask a question and then you can just write the answer. Stream of consciousness, no forcing, no anything like that. You're just allowing the higher self to come through and you're putting it all out there. You can also do that for the lower mind. If you need to purge the lower mind, then by all means do the lower mind and then work your way up to where you have the bandwidth to do the higher mind. You can do that as much as you need to. You can somatically move it. You can scream it. You can drum it. You can shout it. You can do all the things. But the number one thing you have to do is give it a voice. Shame needs a voice. Rage needs a voice. Grief needs a voice. They all are valid, alchemical, emotional messengers. And once they have a voice and once they are witnessed with compassion, and this is the tricky part, non-judgment. I shamed and stigmatized my own wounded children for many, many years, even when I was doing so-called light work, because it was such an integral part of me. And unfortunately, in healing communities, there are a lot of unaligned healers out there. The wounded healer archetype, I would say that's where most people are serving from. And that's not to judge nor criticize, been there, done that. It's just to witness what's going on. A lot of people have bypassed this, like, really, really imperative prerequisite to doing the work. You have to compassionately witness and love it within yourself. Absolutely. So yes, absolutely. So I'm going to circle back here, but that's like, I could sit with this question all day. Like, seriously, William, we could do an entire talk about that question. It's spot on. Thank you so much for asking it. Hope I didn't go down too much of a rabbit hole, but that's what I do. That's what I do. So I'm just circling back. So, okay. So yes, thank you guys for all your loves. I love it. I love it. I love it. So good to see so many of you that I know here for different capacities. Yes, you guys do all belong together. I said to Spirit when I was doing my opening prayer and calling my teams in this morning, like, I just want this to be my cosmic family, like PJ party with my cosmic family every Sunday. Like, I'm so down for that. Got my chai tea. So yes, so excited, so excited. Felice, yay! Oh, I'm so stoked to see you are here. Wow. I mean, man, I'm gonna throw some more impromptu pajama parties. Everybody's coming. It's so beautiful. I love it. I love it. Oh, oh, well, welcome, Tom. I'm happy you accidentally subscribed through your wife's Gmail. I love that, divine alignment and that you're with us today. Thank you so much. Thank you, Felice. You know me, I'm not into spiritual bypassing. When I first started sharing my NDE, I was told to take trauma out of my titles, like, repeatedly. It was pre-2020, and, everybody was love and light, and I was that kid in the corner being like, "But the shadow!" Like, I just don't see how we can be in this current paradigm, in this current reality where we've got, one foot in this juicy, amplified, activated new consciousness that we are midwifing together, but one foot on a hard and holy and very broken and very divided ground. Like, the shadow is such an important part of the journey. As Jung said, there's a golden shadow. All these things that I just talked to you about, I have transmuted them all into love. I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't have written the book. I wouldn't have been able to complete the book if I hadn't transmuted those very, very, very real, very, very, very scary, very, very painful things. And so it's my highest and my highest and best, but my highest honor to just be here with you today and to just show you and to illuminate with you that we can do it. We can do it. Any of those parts that you think are unlovable, or unworthy, or too broken, or too damaged, no, in the most beautiful way. Those parts are sacred. Those parts contain all the multitudes of potentialities for your soul purpose, for your service. And beloveds, if my story's taught me anything, it begins right here. The throat chakra is such an important seat to the soul. Each and every chakra has a deep connection to from the uppers to the lowers. And as I always love to tell everyone, the heart is the bridge chakra. We need you with an open heart. We need you unarmored. We need you radiating from all three levels of the heart chakra. But, Serenity brought up the solar plexus. Well, the biggest thing with the solar plexus in the throat is that we have to disconnect from false power. So many of us right now are being siphoned from false power. And I'm not going to get into the many ways that it's manifest in the world, because you all have eyes and ears and feeling centers. You don't need, a heavy antenna to know all the ways it's been distorted in the collective right now. We're witnessing it. We're witnessing it all die and crumble right before our eyes. But you have to really consciously disconnect. You have to disconnect from anything that's feeding you false light, false programming, that's robbing you of your sovereignty. I mean, you can't step in to your activated solar plexus and its full capacity if you don't disconnect first. So do that work, disconnect. Choose what you're giving your energy to. Everything we consume, everything we share space with is in a way, in resonance to us either being consumed or being nourished by it. So choose wisely those you engage with, those that you're sharing your vibration with. I spoke to this the other day, but vibration's temporal. If you're getting caught up in these yucky things in the news cycles and in the world today, then your vibration's going to be impacted by that. The invitation is to calibrate, restore, and to be the source of your own frequency, to be really tapping in to, the ground below and the cosmos above, and tapping into all that yumminess that's available for you day in and day out, to reconnect, to restore, to recalibrate, and disconnecting from all false power. And then when you disconnect from that false power, you'll start to naturally activate and feel and know the frequency of your own. And that's when this throat becomes so pivotal to shame and to judgment and to all of these things that we've spoken to today that are really about where is my authentic voice? Where is my sovereign power? Where is my truth? Because those questions will align you with your purpose. I get people ask all the time, what's my purpose? What's my mission? How do I get there? Da, 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 da. That's a common question when people seek me out. But the reality, beloveds, is so simple. Every ascended master has said the same thing for a reason. It's really to be and to serve love. But we have to find that voice within us. We have to find what we love. And everyone's different. For me, it lights me up just to share love, to be love, to talk about love, to be in the field of love. That's what we're doing here today. It's all Shakti Sundays is about, is co-creating a field of love and sitting in that field, basking in that field, vibrating in that field. And then the invitation for you from a tantric perspective is to take that medicine, to vibrate at that frequency and take that unconditional love out into the world and to communicate it and to serve that power. That is the highest honor, and that would be the greatest takeaway for me as your frequency keeper here and your friend, that you do that. That's such holy work. So circling back a little bit, yes, the energy of compassion for sure, William. That, the energy of, it's unconditional. I like to say it's the divine mother's compassion. It's fierce. The unconditional mother, she's got the energies of Kali and Lilith and the dark feminine in there too. It's not all the pretty love and light. That's where that shadow comes back in again. The mother, and I know I'm a single mom of 2 boys, and I've been a single mom now for almost 7 years. So I know fierce compassion. I know fierce love. It is not always pretty. It does not always come with a smile. Sometimes it is like the ocean roaring. It is like a tsunami. You have to have that kind of compassion so that when the broken parts come through, when, the worst programs are speaking the loudest, that compassion is even more radical. It's even more fierce. It's even more strong. So yes. I love that you guys are all communicating. And yes, I get it. Yes, I get it. So many people need the work and are hungry for the the work and are thirsty. So yes, it's my privilege and honor to show up today and to share it. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And yes, if I'm showing up, you better believe I'm going to bring my full divine, radiance and all the love I can possibly muster. So it's just so cool. And Dan, I love that you took pajama party Sunday literally too. I'm not kidding. I was like, if I'm going to do this, it has to be cozy. It has to be comfortable. No spiritual performance. It's just like me talking to friends. Like we're just kicking it. And that's the language I used for a reason. There's no formality here. I want you comfortable. I want you raw. People do better work when they're comfortable and they're raw. And we're not doing like traditional healing work. We're just in resonance. But to me, that's healing work. Being in resonance, being in communion, being comfortable. That's where good things happen without efforting. And I would say the best healing happens that way. So thank you for sharing space in that way. Mm. And my beloved friend Ned is pointing out that it's a Sagittarius Sunday today too with the moon. So yes, how many of you are feeling that Scorpio full moon hangover a bit? Wow, that was a potent moon. Potent, potent, potent. I have a lot of big placements in Scorpio. And as a Taurus, it's so opposite. But as a near-death experiencer, Scorpio makes so much sense to me. The depths and the underworld and the place that I lived for so long. So I get Scorpio in a deep way. Also, Scorpio is all about truth. It's all about like no mask, no bypassing, no nonsense. Just show me the raw truth. And I am so all about that too, if you haven't caught on to that. So yes, yes, yes. Amplified big time for sure, Felice. Oh my goddess. It was a big one. It was a big one. But I want to thank that moon because, honestly, that's part of what co-created this today. I was just like, why not? Why has it got to be formal? Why do you have to have a plan? Just show up and do the thing. And here we are. So yay to Scorpio in that way. So yes. Ned's got some sick new speakers he's telling us about right now. I had a feeling you were still up, beloved. I was struggling with sleeping too, but I knew I had to come on here today. So I was like, okay, Brooke, at like 2 a.m. I was like, must sleep, must sleep, must sleep. And I did. There's some beautiful, I don't know if those of you that are like super frequency sensitive like me, there's so many cool like 8-hour black screen sound baths now. It's like it just like stokes me to no end. I love, 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 love sound healing. And they've got 8-hour hand pan sets. They have full-on bowls. I listened to a rainforest one last night because I did want that water element to bring down my fire a bit. So we're always balancing the elements. As an impassioned person, I need a lot of water. I'm weirdly a double earth sign, but like I constantly need grounding. I joke that's why my parents gave me my name. Like they didn't intentionally give me an all earth name, but all 3 of my given names are earth related. And I'm like, because I constantly need grounded, because I constantly need grounding. I'm so cosmic, especially after my NDE. And we see this all the time. I've spoken with a lot of you guys about this before, but like spiritual dysregulation is like such a thing for those of us that are awake. And so I just want to like put it out there that like, so too many of us are floating around out here. We're floating all up in here or above that heart. We're like, and it's fun. I get it. I get it. It's very fun, up in that area. But if you're totally, airy fairy all the time, you can't come down and actually be of service. Like the real work, the work that I'm communicating right now that we spoke to, that William's brilliant question really, brought forth river medicine through my conscious channeling, it's coming from the lower wisdom centers. And the lower wisdom centers are where we carry our trauma, but that's also where we carry our golden shadow. So I really invite you to look at the ways that while it might feel good, you might be living way too much up here, because that disconnect, there's like this huge, I see this like all the time in my healing sessions, there's this wall and there's a split usually right here and the heart's all armored. And I see this over and over and over and again. So it's not about any one person, self included, because I've done it historically, but we need to come down here. We have to be serving really in that power center, in that sovereign and holy and Independently sourced, and I was doing some work with Portal Ascension this week, and I just absolutely love them and everything that they do. Some of you have come to my talks as a Palladian for their Palladian conference speaking, and I was sitting in this really cool channeling event we're doing, and a lot of people were saying the same thing, and it's the same thing that I'm witnessing, and it's part of what led me to do this today. Like I really felt this call strongly, is that there's this simultaneous need, and the need is we need you sovereign. We need you in your power. We need you completely disconnected from all the inauthentic and toxic noise. And at the very same time, simultaneously, we need you in conscious community. And what I mean by conscious community, and I don't mean like, plant medicine communities or sound communities or, things that are saying they're conscious, and they could be, absolutely, but not all are the same. That said, we need you in conscious community, meaning that you are sovereign and you're in community and you're conscious about it, meaning you're co-creating with other sovereign co-creators. No one's giving their power away and no one's outsourcing it from someone else within the group. The future is collaborative. We are frequency sharers and keepers, and there's no competition at the top. It is literally like all these beautiful people that showed up on a whim today, a co-creation. It is a co-creation, beloveds, a co-creation. But for you to be an authentic, conscious, loving co-creator with the infinite all of everything, we need you claiming your righteous place. We need you aligned. We need you in service to your power, to your truth. And most people are really radically disconnected from that. So when you step into this space with me on Sundays, I'll bring the Shakti. You bring your sovereignty. Bring your sovereignty. Show me how it roars. Show me how it purrs. Show me how it does whatever it needs to do, because that's medicine. That's medicine for where we're headed. That gets me excited about co-creating with you all. And I just absolutely love all of that. So yay. Thank you for the love. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Oh, Robin, I'm so glad that it feeds your soul. Like, this is just so beautiful to me. And I just absolutely love it. And Serenity, I'm so happy you're here too. It's just wow, wow, wow. I'm happy that you feel the truth is flowing through me. Thank you. Thank you. I only did like a brief meditation this morning as I just wanted to show up raw. But I was telling my teams, like, I trust you. I trust the river medicine. I trust the nature of being a conscious channel. And that's the cool thing. I love being a conscious channel. I was sitting with a lot of trance channelers this week, and it still trips me out. Like, I love what they do and I love witnessing them, but I'm like, they can't remember when they come out of it. They're like, oh, show me the video or show me the notes. And I'm all like, whoa, the whole time I'm co-creating. And I mean, you guys will read all about this if you choose to read my book. But for me, as a conscious channel, as someone that's been open since they got here upon arrival, and then the NDE just like only amplified it 1,000-fold and really woke me up to my galactic heritage. But I found that I didn't want to have other energies coming through me. I know what it's like to have energies that are not the highest and best come through you and hijack your consciousness. I've witnessed that, especially in the days of addiction and the times I let myself over, because you're opening yourself. Those are portals, those are portals, those are portals. And every time you're giving psychic permission for things to come into you, and having witnessed that in myself and what that can cause and the chaos, and then taking that on as identity when it wasn't even my consciousness, like this is some trippy stuff. And then working with other people where I didn't have the best energetic boundaries. And sometimes I was taking on what were really their demons, their, psychic debris, their family trauma, but then it's coming through me. I just learned very quickly that I did not want things coming through my body. And so I started developing skill sets and resources to make sure that I'm always in my sovereign, and that I'm always clearing energy, that I'm always releasing energy, that I'm only working with the highest light and resonance, and that I really decree that each and every time I'm engaging. There's a lot of false light out out there, guys, right now. I never like to be a downer, but I like to be a realist too. And so be cognizant. Asked 3 times, the universal law, 3 times, 3 times. If there's anything other than the highest light and resonance coming through when you're interacting with any kind of interdimensional, and I'm putting the angels in that group because to me they are definitely interdimensional beings, then you need to release them. Okay, release, release, release. There's a lot of lower 4D distortion really trying to siphon light right now, and it will hijack you and it will mislead you, and it's speaking through all kinds of false light workers right now. So be really, really clear that you are working with the highest light and resonance. And I mean that in all capacities. Like, I mean that about me. If you ever feel that I'm not emanating the highest light and resonance, take your beautiful field and get going. I mean, I call it as it is. I would not want to show up if I'm not my highest and best. And I've disappeared for years at a time to do that work because I'm not going to consciously ever pollute another sensitive soul. I know what that's like. I would not do that to you, beloved. I respect you too much. I respect me too much. I respect the sacred container we're creating here too much. So if ever I can't show up on a Sunday, there'll be a note saying I'm going to do the work. But otherwise, I intend to be here. This is so fun. This is so beautiful. And yes, Ned, to loving all versions of ourselves. And yes. And so I'm getting a question here about what has helped you move into your lower power centers and not just be in the etheric upper zones. I would say, for me, authenticity, it has always been such a call to action. As I said earlier, I was that 3-year-old kid calling out an authenticity that continued my whole childhood. I was kicked out of my parochial religion class at 7 for asking why they were blaming it all on the snake and the woman. And so calling things out is just like part of who I am. I've always come to, be an illuminator of truth, and truth is subjective, and truth has many ways that it communicates with us. But for me, if it isn't resonant, if it isn't pulsing with the life force vitality, then it's inauthentic. And so that need for truth, that like hunger for that kind of radical rawness and accountability has kind of propelled me. But we're going to each have our own calling. So, it can be what you don't want to tolerate. Like we talked a lot about shame and judgment earlier. If you are feeling a lot of shame or like a super self-critical nature that you can't shake, that's an invitation. In tantric meditation, and whenever I speak about tantra, I'm talking about tantra as the 108 branches of tantra. There's only one, that's sexuality. So don't let, the mainstream dissuade you there, because that's been pretty corrupted in the collective, yet it's quite sacred if you actually go into the truth of it. Again, truth. So we have to look for that frequency. Look for the thing that's activating you. If it's shame, if shame's your invitation, then go to shame. Meet shame, because shame's your doorway in. Shame lives in that sacral chakra. And that sacral chakra is where so much of the distortion that's feeding your lower mind comes from. So the sacral is always a great place to start. The root's always a great place to start, because so many of our earliest traumas are living there. I mean, our earliest traumas are pretty much living in the 3 lower wisdom centers. So anything that's dysregulating you, again, in Tantra, everything's an invitation. Tantra means union, much like yoga. And so we're going to look for that invitation. What's most alive in me? What's most juicy in me? What's showing up the most in me today? That's your invitation. That's how you get in. And trust me, it's a thing we want to push away quite often, the thing that may not feel so good. I mean, if it feels good, that's an invitation too. Go for it. But I don't want you to get high on the bliss or the escapism. I want you to be with the complexity, because sometimes, like the frequency that I can emanate, it's like really juicy and fun. But then after I get off with you guys, like that vibration is going to come down because I'm not feeling the collective energy. And that's when perhaps, and I can't speak for today because I'm not in this moment yet sometimes that's when, for me, the old programming will come on. Like, it's almost like you miss it, or you miss the connection or whatever. And then those old programs like the inner children, or the, was I good enough? Or did I say this? Or did I stutter? Whatever. I mean, it's just silly stuff that the ego will spin to distract you. Because remember, your ego, it's a protective mechanism. Its job is for survival. Its job is to protect you. It, like, if you were running from a tiger, you would want the ego to be like, and remember that time, run. Okay. So like, we don't want to kill the ego. I'm so over like psychology and people that like don't understand that. We don't want to kill the ego. What we want to do is to dissolve our identification with it. We want to employ the ego. The ego is a wonderful servant and a terrible master. So we never want to get rid of it. We just want to start to understand or inner stand. How may I work with this energy? This is a protective energy that wants to serve me. How may I work with it? So great question. Great question. And Nella, what are you saying? Like, yes. Oh, yes, 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 yes. Thank you, Nella. Nella's doing what I I needed a reminder for. So thank you, my soul sister. If you like this video on your way out, please like it. It's going to help other people begin to find us and find this meeting and join us. So if you could like and or comment on the actual video, not in the live chat, before you exit today, I would deeply, deeply, deeply appreciate that so much. So thank you, Nella, for that shout out and reminder. And you're so welcome. William, I'm so happy you came. Like yesterday, I was trying to figure out how to, like, you know, wake this channel up, and I wanted to do it from love, and I wanted to do it without efforting, and I wanted to do it without algorithms and hashtags and all of this, like what I call the dark masculine that I don't like. Okay. I'm all for the feminine. I'm all for the raw. I'm all for the energetic. And it was so funny because I decided to do this. I literally made a video about this. And then I received William's email, which was basically like, we want to be there, and I want to be there, but I can't do it unless it's on a weekend. And I was like, your wish is my command. And here we are. And it just organically aligned. And isn't that the magic of listening to a soul calling? We just show up. We stay in the creation current. We become the creation current, and creation does the rest. We are all divine children of creation. We are all creating in every thought, feeling, behavior, story, relationship. My invitation to you, beloveds, is to show up when you have the bandwidth with me, 9 a.m. on Sundays, for a co-creation of a cosmic family. We will play, we will tell stories, I'll answer your questions, we'll have fun. We had fun today. I am so deeply touched that you all showed up. I mean, what an honor. What an immense honor. So I'm just sending you the biggest blast of Shakti, the biggest blast of my co-creative field. I beam you with the highest and best, and I ask that you take that highest and best light. You get lit, you get activated, and you take it out and activate others, beloveds. I absolutely adore you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being an illuminary. It is an honor to serve and to radiate with you. Thank you again, friends, for being here. 3 times. I'm going to answer that question real quick for you, Tom. 3 times. You're just asking, are you of the highest light and resonance? Are you of the highest light and resonance? Are you of the highest light and resonance? When you're interacting with any kind of interdimensional guide, angel, whatever it is. Most of the time you'll know, but I'm telling you, there's some tricky false light out there. So yes. Okay, guys. I love you guys so much. I'm so happy that you needed and enjoyed this, William. That makes my day. So stay lit, beloveds. You are so welcome. You are so welcome. I love all the love that's coming in. And again, on your way out, please like and comment on the actual video. It will really help us grow this organic little love offering to our soul family. So again, thank you for being here, beloveds. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. Goodbye for now. I'll see you next week.